You're no longer needed, so please leave. Why would you say that after all this? This house is enough. I'm going to live here with my daughter and the others, despite the fact that I worked hard for 15 years to save up and buy this place, despite choosing a spacious high-rise condo so we could all live together because she wanted to move in. Then my husband intervenes. Why the surprised face? Your role here is over. Thanks for everything until now. Are you serious? I looked straight at my husband and responded. I was at my limit, trying to maintain composure amidst various emotions. Of course, if you don't like leaving, we can divorce. Hurry up and do it. Hearing this, I made up my mind. After all, my husband is unemployed. It seems he could not imagine what would happen if we divorced now. What a disappointing man, and I wanted to leave such a place as soon as possible. Understood. If that's how it is, I'll leave. Leave right now. Okay, I'd be so happy not to see your face again. The two of them showed the most hideous smiles I'd ever seen. No need to hold back against such a husband and mother-in-law. I wanted to make them taste hell immediately, and I sold the high-rise condo right away. I am Sandra, and this year I turned 39. I've been married to Robert for 4 years. We were colleagues at the same company originally, but we weren't that close then. A turning point arrived 4 years ago. Huh, Sandra? Robert, I thought it was you. Long time no see. Why are you here? Actually, I quit my job today. What? Why? I quit because the time had finally come to realize a dream I had always had. You know I've been drawing cartoons for a while, right? I've finally made my debut. Seriously. That's amazing. Show me sometime. At that time, I had no special feelings towards him, but I was happy that he praised me. Later, I learned that after quitting the company, Robert apparently started a business. I think the last time we met was in our 20s, and things were going well for me at work then. If you're okay with it, why don't we date? That's sudden, isn't it? I think we're really compatible. The confession from Robert was unexpected, but it didn't feel bad, and since I was about to turn 35, I was also thinking about marriage. But I'm already at an age where I want to get married too. Then let's get married. What? Really? I was overwhelmed by the sudden development. Is it a no? Q. Yes. Before I knew it, I had accepted his proposal. I went ahead with it on impulse, and I was full of anxieties, but they proved to be groundless. You've worked hard here. Coffee. Thanks. Another all-nighter? Yeah, the deadline is close. Don't push yourself too hard. Both my marriage and my job were going well. In fact, things were going so well that I wondered if it was okay for them to be this good. Robert understood my work and even took care of household chores when I was busy. There was just one thing that bothered me. By the way, how's work lately? Huh. Oh, it's fine. I've had some free time recently. Why? You've been coming home early lately and have been doing all the housework. I'm just doing it because I like to. Don't worry about it. Previously, we used to talk about work, but for the last few weeks I hadn't heard anything about his job from him. I believed him when he said it was okay and didn't probe any deeper. Looking back, that might have been a mistake, and before I knew it, nearly 4 years had passed. My job was going well, and there was even talk of turning my works into comics and animations. Then I started wanting to have our own home. I've been thinking about getting our own place. A house? That sounds great. Oh, but is something wrong? Robert looked down with a remorseful expression. I braced myself, sensing something unpleasant was coming. I know this is sudden, but is there any way my mom could live with us? What? Your mother? She's alone now, and I'm a bit worried about her. Indeed, since losing my father-in-law 2 years ago, my mother-in-law seemed to have lost her spirit. It felt as if there was a gaping hole in her heart. I was indeed worried about leaving her alone from now on. Okay, but it will take time to build a house. Maybe a condo would be okay. Thank you. Just agreeing to live with her is enough for me. You can decide the rest. Then that's what we'll do. In between work, I visited various condos. Since we were going to live together, I wanted something spacious and comfortable. Besides, I had savings from 15 years of frugal living. A month after starting the search for a condo, I signed the contract. Today. Really? What kind is it? This one. I showed my husband the brochure for the condo I'd contracted for. I was confident he would be pleased. Is this a high-rise luxury condo? Yes, it is. I thought we might as well. He probably didn't expect me to choose a high-rise, although surprised, his eyes sparkled like a child who had just received a new toy. Mom will definitely be happy with this. I hope so. With this, a new life, including my mother-in-law, was about to begin, filled with a little anxiety and great anticipation. However, I would soon realize that it was a mistake as soon as we started living with her. Sandra, thank you for this. I can't believe I get to live in such a nice place. Oh, it's nothing. I just did what anyone would. Things went smoothly for a while, but 3 months later, my mother-in-law's attitude changed drastically. Sorry, but could you clean my room? My back is aching. I'm sorry, Mother, I have to work now. Then my mother-in-law uttered words without a trace of her previous kindness. What work? You just sit in your room all day and leave all the housework to Robert, don't you? That's something Robert and I decided together. No more excuses. Just do it now, please. I didn't understand why her attitude had changed so much. All I knew then was that not following her instructions would only lead to more trouble, and so I thoroughly cleaned the room as she demanded. I'll be in the living room. Let me know when you're done. She did nothing to help and just relaxed in luxury. Why did I have to do this? Frustration welled up inside me. I'm done. Finally, can't you clean a bit more swiftly? I'm sorry. Well, it's fine. From now on, please do it regularly. In the end, my mother-in-law went back to her room without thanking me. Anger bubbled up due to her tyranny, yet I held back, thinking that resisting would only lead to more complaints. I reported this to my husband. My mom, why would she do that? I understand. I'll talk to her. Really, I can't really speak strongly to her. Don't worry, I've got this. Relieved by his words, I felt reassured. Indeed, from the next day, my mother-in-law stopped being harsh to me. I thought I could now focus on work as usual until I came home from a meeting a week later. I'm home. When I opened the door, I saw unfamiliar shoes. As I headed to the living room, I heard voices. By the way, where is Sandra today? Oh, she's at a meeting. It's amazing, though. She became a cartoon artist at her age, and it's a big hit. Yeah, indeed. Why do you sound so proud? It turned out the visitor was Robert's sister, Christina. Just as I was about to open the door, I heard her say, By the way, you have been quiet lately, Mom. Oh, yes, it's funnier to push her down when she feels secure, isn't it? And Robert, you think so too, right? Well, if she can't work anymore, it would be a problem, right? Sandra is our breadwinner, after all. Oh, that's right. I was rooted to the spot, not just because of what was said, but because my husband and mother-in-law were conspiring together. From then on, it was like living through hell. Did you talk about that thing, the work thing? I thought it wasn't necessary to talk about it. You always do this. What? What do you mean? Tell me too, Christina innocently asked, clearly unaware of what was being discussed. I was also clueless and curious to hear what Robert would say. Well, it can't be helped. Actually, the company I ran went bankrupt right after we got married. What? You've been silent about that. That's the worst. I've been through a lot, but I was lucky. I never expected that when I suggested living with Mom, Sandra would sign up for a luxury condo. When I heard from Robert, I was so surprised. I felt nothing but anger rather than surprise because I had been deceived. Thinking about how he had been hiding it and acting normal made me feel nauseous. I had never regretted anything more than I did that moment. If only I hadn't ignored the signs of change in my husband. But I couldn't dwell on regrets forever and was thinking about when to leave. But maybe it's about time. Maybe about time for what? Well, that's for next time's fun. Unable to listen any longer, I burst through the door. They were petrified, probably not expecting me to come back. "What's going on?" I responded deliberately. Seeing my husband and mother-in-law flustered, I almost burst out laughing, but managed to restrain myself. "You scared me. If you were back, you should have said so." "I did say I'm home, but maybe you were too caught up in your conversation." "Well, never mind. Sandra, come sit over here. Let's have some coffee together." "Yes, thank you." I then participated in a meaningless conversation. It felt like it had been a while since I had spent such a boring time. After about an hour, Christina decided to leave. "Then I'm going home now. You could stay a little longer." "I would like to, but I have plans after this." "Well, if that's the case, it can't be helped. Let me walk you out part of the way." Christina probably sensed the feelings I held towards those two. Perhaps that's why she wanted to escape from the situation. As Christina was leaving, I stopped her. "Thank you for having me today. Did you enjoy yourself?" Yes." Christina seemed frightened, perhaps thinking she would be scolded. Seeing her expression, I decided it was best to give her a warning. "There's something I wanted to tell you, Christina. You shouldn't trust those two too much." "What do you mean about the conversation earlier?" Christina's expression turned pale as she seemed to understand my targets for revenge were my husband and mother-in-law. "I understand. See you then." From that day on, as far as I know, Christina never visited us again. My days were filled with thoughts of how to get revenge on those two. One day, as part of my daily routine, I went to check the mailbox and found a letter addressed to Robert. The moment I saw it, I couldn't stop laughing, thinking this could be useful. "I'm off to work. Have a good day." "How insincere," I muttered. Curious about where he was actually going, I decided to follow him. I watched as he spent some time aimlessly in a park before heading to a casino. I took photos to have evidence ready for later. Unemployed and yet doing things like this. Who made this terrible meal? The harassment from my mother-in-law had apparently restarted, probably triggered by our previous conversation. "I made it. Given that Robert doesn't cook and no one else could have, it had to be me." "How dare you serve something like this? You didn't put poison in it, did you? You clean this up." Her words were so harsh that they almost felt refreshing. Of course, I was angry, but that was not my primary concern. Unable to think of a good method on my own, I decided to call my mother. I was afraid of what she might say, but getting revenge on my husband and mother-in-law was more important. "Hello, Mom. You sound down. What's up?" Actually, I then explained everything to my mother. I had expected harsh words, but instead she was understanding. "So that's what happened. You've endured a lot." I felt tears welling up at her words. "But what should I do now?" "From what you've told me, the condo is in your name, right?" "Yes, but—" "And it seems they both like the place. Why not just sell it?" "Sell it? I hadn't thought of that. I was convinced by my mother's suggestion. Indeed, I wondered how the two would feel if they lost the house. Life would surely be difficult for my unemployed husband and mother-in-law. It's a pretty good idea, isn't it?" "It sure is, but I think it's amazing how you can say that with a laugh." "Well, it's up to you to decide what to do, Sandra. And remember, we are on your side." "Yeah, hearing you say that gives me more motivation. Contact me anytime." I kept thinking about the advice from my mother. One evening after dinner and cleaning up, Robert said he needed to talk. As instructed, I sat on the sofa where Robert and my mother-in-law were smirking. I had a bad feeling about this. "So what's this talk about then?" My mother-in-law started to speak. "You're no longer needed, so please leave." Why would you say that after all this? My mother-in-law cut me off. I was irritated, but she continued regardless of my feelings. Enough. I'm going to live here with Christina and the others. Why with Christina and the others? That's when I remembered that day, the conversation they had at home. It turned out that this was the fun she had mentioned. Then Robert chimed in. Why the surprised face? Your role here is over. Thanks for everything until now. Are you serious? I looked straight at him and replied. My emotions were overwhelming, and I was at my breaking point. Of course, if you don't like leaving, we can divorce. Hurry up and do it. Hearing this, I made up my mind. After all, Robert is unemployed. It seems he could not imagine what would happen if we divorced now. What a disappointing man. I wanted to leave such a place as soon as possible, and I had prepared for such a moment. Understood. If that's how it is, I'll leave. Leave right now, okay. I'd be so happy not to see your face again. The two of them showed me the most hideous smiles I had ever seen. I saw no need to hold back against such a husband and mother-in-law. I wanted to give them a taste of hell right away. I packed the bare essentials and left the house. They saw me off all the way, but I felt no sadness or regret. Since we're getting divorced anyway, you prepare the divorce papers. Don't worry about this condo. We'll live here and take good care of it. I didn't respond and started walking away without looking back. They could say whatever they wanted. For now, I decided to return to my parents' home for the time being. I'm coming home now. So you've made up your mind. Yes, I'll be a bit of a burden for a while. Your father and I are waiting. Be careful coming back. At home, my parents, unchanged, were waiting for me. Seeing their faces, I felt a genuine sense of relief. Welcome back. I'm home. It's been a while since I've been back, hasn't it? Take it easy today. Thank you. That night, I was able to sleep peacefully for the first time in a long while. The following day, I immediately got to work. I prepared the divorce papers, and my next stop was the real estate agent. It was wiser to let go of the place than to let those two live there. With no place to live while unemployed, they would truly be in hell. It's a popular condo, so I think we can find a buyer quickly. Is that so? Please take care of it. Leave it to me. A month later, the real estate agent informed me that someone wanted to buy it. My ex-husband and mother-in-law were still living there, and in that month, I had successfully finalized the divorce. They were now complete strangers to me. I had never looked forward to meeting these two unaware people so much. The interested party would like to see the place as soon as possible. Understood. Can I join you on the day of the showing? That would be very helpful to us. Please do. The day of the showing finally arrived. As I opened the front door, Robert burst out. Hey, who let you in? Who are you people anyway? Apparently, he hadn't noticed me, so I stepped forward. Long time no see. Huh, why are you here? Funny you should ask. After all, this condo is in my name. What? It seemed he hadn't grasped the situation yet. Don't you understand? It means this place isn't yours to claim. That can't be true. Then my mother-in-law appeared. I thought it was perfect timing. I decided to drop both of them into hell right then and there. Hey, what are you doing causing a scene in someone's home? Don't just barge in here. I could call the police on you. That should be my line. You two have no right to live here. Talking nonsense won't help you. This place belongs to us. I sighed at their foolishness. Could you leave this house immediately? You're in the way of the viewing. Viewing? Why would there be a viewing? Because I've put this condo up for sale. As I said before, I bought this place, so the ownership is mine. It seemed Robert was too angry to understand. Even if what you're saying is true, where are we supposed to live? Why don't you go back to your parents' home? We demolished that house because it was old. Oh, that's too bad. Stop joking around. Then Robert tried to grab me. Luckily, I dodged quickly, and he fell over spectacularly. Everyone except my mother-in-law burst out laughing at his fall. If you don't want me to call the police for trespassing, would you mind leaving? You're in the way. I looked down at him as I spoke. When I saw his face, he looked like he was about to cry, finally grasping the situation. He then knelt down and begged, but nothing he did could sway my decision. We were wrong. Please forgive us. Mom, apologize to her too. Why should I? Apologizing won't help you now. Can you disappear from my sight? I won't ask twice. Then Robert, dragging his mother by the hand, ran off like a defeated dog. Seeing them flee like that, I never thought I could feel so relieved. The viewing that followed went smoothly, and the sale was agreed upon. I told those two they would have to clear out any remaining belongings in the condo. That was the last act of mercy from me. Then I got a call from Christina. "What's up, Christina?" "It's about my mom and what happened." Since I had no idea what had happened to them, I was very interested to hear about their fate. It seems they're living in a tiny one-room apartment now. See, I told you, you can't trust those two. I've learned that lesson well from this ordeal. It turned out Christina had heeded my advice and had refused any attempts from them to live together. That's why she wasn't present on the day of the viewing. From now on, better keep your distance from them. Yes, with this, Christina would also avoid any more entanglements with those two. But soon after, Robert contacted me again. "Can you lend me some money?" "Just a little." "Huh, that's your own fault for gambling and racking up debt. You knew I had found, by chance, the debt collection letters addressed to you. Plus, you lied about having a job and went out. I had someone follow you. I'm working seriously now, but I still have debts and it's hard to make ends meet. That's not my problem. Oh, and could you tell your mother something for me? Just tell her she got what she deserved." I hung up immediately. They would likely continue to face more hellish days ahead. As I reflected on these events, I thought about turning this experience into a comic for my next project.